Okay, hi my loves. We've got a lot to talk about today. I wanted to jump on because I just saw this documentary on Netflix, Twin Flames Universe, and we're going to talk about it, okay, while it's currently a hot topic. Don't worry, we're not done with talking about Gaza either, because we're going to be talking about that as long as it's going on as well, and the ramping up of the disclosure of the Antichrist that's plagued this planet for aeons, that's currently happening, and it's all connected. So let's get into it. Okay, so if you haven't seen the Netflix documentary, it's like a 3-part documentary called Twin Flames Universe, or Escaping Twin Flames Universe. Go and watch it now, and then come back to this video, because, well, unless you don't mind spoilers, it's fine. You could, we can spoil it a little bit for you. Yeah, so basically Twin Flames Universe is a cult that was, obviously they deny that they're a cult, and they're still operating, they haven't been shut down. But the documentary kind of follows a few members that have now exited, sharing their experiences with this cult. So it was basically founded by 2 twin flames, Jeff and Shalia, I don't know their full names, and just talks about the various psychological mind games and spiritual gaslighting that went on. And it's well worth a watch. We're going to talk about some of the stuff, okay? Obviously, I've seen many different people responding to it on my feed, because obviously I know a lot of people within the spiritual community, the awakening community, the divine union community, the sexual alchemy, and some people do believe in this idea called twin flames. I've spoken about twin flames before on my channel, okay? The whole twin flame thing, it was basically a new age psyop, okay? And if you're triggered by me saying that, stick with me, okay? I know that's hard to hear for people who believe in this thing and who are still stuck in that. There's so many things wrong with it, and I'm going to break down a lot of what's wrong with it, as displayed by the documentary, although the documentary is not the only example of problematic things, and there were a lot of problematic things that happened within the documentary which can't be blamed exclusively on the concept of twin flames, but was just basically like spiritual abuse that was happening as a result of these 2 unscrupulous individuals. But for people who have been experiencing the twin flame phenomenon, I'm not saying, and I've spoken about this in previous videos, you should watch the previous videos that I've done on twin flames, and the difference between twin flames, genetic equals, divine union. I did another video, okay, where I talked about that and broke down the differences between all these different concepts. There are people who have a very real experience with what they believe to be a twin flame, okay? And I speak about this because I went through it myself, okay? I had a very real experience in around 2016. This was happening to a lot of women. It was particularly women, some men, but it's mostly targets women who are on the Sophianic path, or on the Hieros Gamos path, the path of sexual alchemy, and bringing the codes, the true organic teachings of the divine feminine back onto the earth at this time, to target us and to throw us off our highest timeline. And these were very real spiritual experiences, okay? I don't want to dismiss anybody's real experiences that they're having with this phenomenon, okay? These include like seeing repeated angel numbers, having repeated synchronicities, sharing dreams with this person, okay? Having dreams at the same time, or meeting each other in the higher dimensions, in the astrals and stuff like that, and then waking up and having that confirmed in real life, okay? These were very real things that also happened to me at that time. And the problem with the twin flame phenomenon is these experiences are real, okay? Many people also reported having a Kundalini awakening after meeting this person. I will explain all of these things, okay? One of the things that they were teaching, and I think that this is the main crux of why this New Age teaching is so damaging and so dangerous, is that when you meet your twin flame, there will be like immediate separation, because the intensity of the union is so strong and the two of you haven't healed yet. So there'll be an immediate separation, then there'll be a runner and a chaser. Okay, this keeps you in a state of relational misery. What's actually happening with a lot of the twin flame psyops, and I'm not going to speak to every situation, okay, because not every situation is quite so extreme, but there were some experiences that were extremely extreme, right, where it wasn't just relational misery that people were caught up in, but also sexual misery. Okay, my mentor Emily Joy Harris, she has spoken extensively about this, about the twin flame psyop and the reptilian interface, okay, because she experienced very extreme womb harvesting and sexual misery with a, you know, a lot of people would call it a false twin flame. But the whole thing about twin flames is just false, okay? There is such a thing as a true divine counterpart, or a divine union, or genetic equal, okay? And we'll talk about the distinctions with that, okay? But with what's happening with twin flames is it's usually astral tagging, okay? It's referred to by Lisa Renee, and again, I don't resonate with everything that Elisa Renee teaches, okay, but I do think that she is a very powerful oracle, and a lot of what she's channeled, I do believe, has a lot of truth in it. Lisa Renee refers to as alien love bite, okay, which obviously when you read it, it sounds extremely nefarious, extremely scary. Let's actually read it, okay, because when I was still trapped in the interface, I read this and I was just like, oh my God, this sounds horrific. I really hope that this isn't what I'm experiencing. And at that time I had already extracted myself from the twin flame psyop, but I was still going through this whole interfacing system that was feeding on my relational misery, okay? And it happens when, oh wow, there's actually a book by somebody called Eve F. Lorgan called Alien Interference in Human Love Relationships. Okay, so it seems like somebody else has done some work on it. Okay, she's done a lot of she's broken down the alien love bites now. She's done more extensive work on this, and I do recommend you check it out. I'll put a link in the description box below. But she'll say the 4D alien love bite, which will be astral tagging, and then there's 7D alien love bite, which obviously goes higher into the higher dimensions, and then there's a 10D alien love bite, Moloch and Concetia. So I'll have to go and study these because I haven't actually, she's obviously added some extra context. So the astral tagging is obviously, and this is why people are having different experiences with this, okay? So I mean, it's a lot of jargon. You know, the artificial galactic capstones were anchored in the trimatric layers of the galactic stargate in 4D Mars, attached to Phantom Nibiru, which enthroned Azazel and Black Lilith as gender reversal capstones, blocking the natural inner male-female integration at the soul matrix layers. Okay, that's a lot of. I don't expect people to understand that. Okay, I don't understand all of it either, I'll be honest. But basically, with the astral tagging, or the 4D Lilith Azazel, is basically with extreme inversion, where you will become tagged to a narcissist, okay? A lot of people won't necessarily experience that level of sexual or relational misery. What I experienced was not that level of demonic interference, okay? What I experienced was something a little more subtle, but still very painful, and wasted many years of my life, okay? I had a lot of numbers. I was experiencing number synchronicities anyway, so I didn't relate that to the twin flame unification, but there were, so, you know, with a lot of the New Age teachings that you'll find online, when I met this person, I was like, wow, that was an intense connection. I've never felt anything like that with someone before. What is this? Is this like a 4D or like a 5D relationship or something? I was going through an intense awakening at that time. If you go back and look at my videos from 2016, you'll see that I was rapidly awakening. And also going through various levels of, you know, ascension traps and clearing those, and, you know, getting caught up in them and then clearing them. And, you know, according to the principle of rhythm, as you awaken, you will get caught sometimes in these ascension traps. So let's not judge ourselves for that. So what happened to me was I met this person. There was a very strong connection. It was, you know, he was very awake. very awake. He got me on a really deep level, and he could understand, like we could both see that we were very disillusioned with the world, and not sure what we could quite do to make it better, but like it activated both of us into like this higher frequency of love that was centered around the heart space. Usually when I'd connected with people before, because of, you know, damage to my light body through various trauma and also negative relationships that I'd had with the masculine over time, I had a lot of leaks in my sacral, and, you know, just wasn't connecting at that higher level a lot of the time. I mean, I would with some people, but it was very narcissistic overlays. So usually I would connect at the sacral. You know, this is very common in Western society, and women on the Sophianic path in the Western grids particularly, to have that inversion in the sexual energy where there's leaks, and they will connect sexually with a man before they'll connect at the heart level. So me and him, we started connecting at the higher centers first, definitely at the heart, but almost here, like we started connecting here, and then it started to move. It didn't even connect at the sexual level, even in mentally or in the etheric space. It was more in the higher centers that we connected. And then we didn't come into union, we remained separated, but constantly like thinking about each other, messaging each other, you know, having a lot of synchronicities. And it wasted so much of my time, and he got into union with someone else. And a lot of these, you know, twin flame, you know, tarot readings will talk about the karmic and how he's going to leave the karmic. And this is all just, I'm really sorry, but it's new age bullshit, okay? You don't need to be constantly healing yourself so that he finally realizes that you're worthy of love, okay? A man will realize it already, okay? You don't need, even if you still have work to do, you're still emotionally damaged, he's not going to just run from you. That's not your true counterpart, okay? And the process of divine unification, like, yeah, there are some people that have what is referred to in ascension communities as a genetic equal. I'm not going to say whether I believe that it's true or not, okay? I know people who claim to be genetic equals, and I would say that there is something about their energy signature that seems very harmonious and comes together in this divine synergy in which what they're bringing through their union is extremely powerful. And I would say that my mentor Emily Joy Harris and her husband Aleo are definitely, I feel, are embody that frequency. I would say there are also people that I know in my life, I've mentioned them before. I know this one married couple, Minty and Isha, if you guys are watching, much love to you both. I would say they are probably also either genetic equals, or they're within the same monad, which is basically the same soul tribe. So at the highest levels, when God kind of created the Elohim and the angelic beings, they were basically divine androgyne that then separated into masculine and feminine emanations, and then split into 12, which is a monadic consciousness. And with some of my work that I've done with clients, and I'm going to be introducing a divine union package soon, because I just completed a package of sessions with two people that had a semi-fractured relationship. They were broken up at the time, and I did sessions for both of them, just supporting them individually. And what we were able to see, because they kept on coming back together during this time, and working through various layers, was that they were part of the same monad, okay? And this is happening with a lot of people at this time, as we're kind of moving through the ascension portals, and people are healing their masculine and feminine inversions and coming into divine unification with Creator, with their divine missions, and with their counterparts, okay? And I'm not going to speak on whether each one of us has a genetic equal in a masculine or a feminine polarity, okay, because I haven't been shown that yet, and so I'm not going to speak with that authority. It's up to you to figure out whether you believe that. I'm just going to share my experience, but I would say that if you're in a situation where there's a runner chaser and you're believing this thing that you need to just heal yourself in order to be worthy of the love from that person, definitely look into whether you might be going through some kind of astral tagging or 7th dimensional or 10th dimensional tagging. Look into the alien love bites and see if you're being loosh harvested. Okay, loosh is your emotional energy, so particularly your heart energy or your sacral energy, your sexual energy. Okay, this is fuel for demonic dark forces that they love to feed on. Okay, particularly our sexual energy. If they're able to access that through unhealed sexual trauma or other types of trauma, you know, in which we have had our light body damaged through, you know, whatever belief systems or whatever trauma that causes us to have low self-esteem, have a look at whether you feel like you might be getting harvested in that way. And if you feel like you are, then I would recommend doing some trauma healing work, like what I teach in my course Reclaim Your Crown, where we remove trauma from the physical, emotional and causal bodies. We sublimate the sexual energy from the lower centers, clearing out any leaks from below and bringing it into the heart, and then also bringing it into the higher centers and connecting you directly to Prime Creator God Source. Okay, so that course is currently, it's still currently on sale. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 days left, using the code TARIR30, so take advantage of that. And then also doing field work, which I do one-on-one with my clients, where we can go into your light body and see if you've got any tears, any leaks, any rips, any astral tagging, any implants that are feeding on your energy, that have corded you into interfacing systems that are feeding on your energy, whether you have a past lover or a past partner that is still feeding on your energy. We can see a lot of that in the field, okay, and we can clear it. So do contact me for a session if you're concerned about that. So yeah, let's talk again about some of the abuses that were happening in this cult. So a couple of years ago, a lot of us within the awakening community started to notice that there were a hell of a lot of people that were misusing sacred teachings and distorting them and watering them down, because that's what the New Age does. Okay, New Ageism is just basically taking sacred teachings and watering them down and stripping them off their original context and codex in order to serve to manifest personal gain. Okay, that's New Ageism. It's Luciferianism. It's sometimes even satanic as well. It goes as far as being not just Luciferic but satanic in certain contexts. Okay, and we saw that a lot of people were misusing a lot of these sacred teachings for clout, for money, and to get access to vulnerable women or vulnerable men. But usually at that time, around 2018, 2019, it was mainly a lot of masculine predators that were using sacred teachings to prop themselves up in status and get access to vulnerable sexually traumatized women. Now we're seeing, with the rise of all this goddess culture, that's again New Ageisms that have been stripped of their original and complete teachings, that connect you directly to the goddess and to the Holy Mother Ark. The very distorted, watered down divine feminine teachings, or even inverted feminine teachings, such as with a lot of the Lilith stuff. You know, a lot of that dark goddess, you know, and I'm not saying necessarily that all of that is false, because, you know, the Divine Mother is a primordial womb of dark matter. Okay, so I'm not saying that anyone teaching dark feminine teachings is necessarily teaching anything that's inverted, but many people are, if they're teaching, you know, like base 10 architecture, like a lot of the Kabbalic teachings, which are base 10, have, you know, removed the original, basically the teachings that will connect you directly to the Godhead and to Prime Creator, and they strip you of your power in order so that they can keep feeding on you, either so that the teacher can keep feeding on you and feeding on your energy, so that you keep on coming back for more and more healings and teachings, and instead of relying on your own intuition and your own ability to seek knowledge and your own spiritual power and your own direct connection to the Godhead, it makes you reliant on them, or it makes you reliant on the forces that they're working with, okay? Because if you sever yourself from Prime Creator, God Source, then you start contracting with demonic beings where your spiritual power comes from, okay? So if you're working with like mystics or seers or oracles or people who have psychic gifts and they're not working directly with Prime Creator, God Source, and serving Prime Creator, God Source, and serving the Law of One, I'm going to talk about that as well, you know, doing what God tells you to do, like speaking out against injustice, speaking out against evil, speaking up against the Antichrist agenda on this planet, you know, speaking up for the truth, even if it makes you unpopular, even if it means you lose followers, even if it means that you lose, you know, a source of abundance. If that abundance was not, you know, in alignment with what God's blueprint is for you, then you shouldn't be taking that anyway, okay? Because it's bringing you out of alignment with your true divine mission. So now we're seeing a lot more of the, you know, the feminines, the women who are teaching these faulty codes and who are using these faulty codes to parasite on their clients. And just parasite on just anyone that they can. And we've seen a lot of these people being called out, you know, publicly in their kind of coaching space. And I'm not going to name names, but if you've been following that, then you know. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, so Emily, she did several videos about this in 2020. This was when I first came across her work. I'm sure she spoke about it before as well. But she was just like, God, there's going to be a reckoning for a lot of these people who are teaching these faulty Luciferian codes. And a lot of them are, you know, it's not just around like twin flame stuff. Some of the stuff that like the abundance coaches who are teaching who are basically just running pyramid schemes. They're like, sign up for my high ticket coaching program where I'm going to teach you the quantum codes to collapse time and space and, you know, align with your highest timeline so that you're making big money, and, you know, I'll teach you how I have 50k months consistently every month. I'm just taking 5 of you in a very high ticket, close, intimate container, and it's 10 grand each, and you're guaranteed 50k months by the end of it. That's a pyramid scheme. Like, that's clearly a Luciferian harvesting scheme, okay? There's no sacred quantum teachings that they're going to teach you other than just believe that, you know, you can charge other people this money and get into your personal power and your self-esteem so that you can go out there and brazenly charge this kind of money to vulnerable people and keep on doing it ad infinitum so that they get more people into their pyramid and it just goes higher and higher. And it's a harvesting scheme. And look, I'm not saying that everybody who's doing this is doing it consciously. A lot of the people that were in these schemes were victims of it, and this is what you'll also see in the Twin Flames universe, that some of the coaches, because it was also like this pyramid structure, some of the people that they initiated into the coaching programs, they then convinced them that this twin flame thing is real, and they were just like, okay, so who is your twin flame? And they basically convinced their followers that they had the ability to divinely channel who other people's twin flames are. Like, this is such severe narcissistic spiritual abuse, gaslighting. Like, I don't even know, like, nobody should be telling you who your beloved is, okay? This is why, like, even though I'm an oracle and I can see certain things in the field, okay, I'm not going to be telling people who their divine counterpart is, okay? I base a lot of, I'm always checking in with my client if what I'm saying is resonating, okay? Because even if you're clairvoyant, okay, like myself, like my teacher, like a lot of the oracles, what you see in the field, what you perceive in the field is filtered through your own perceptual filters. It's filtered through you and your own biases. Like, if I perceive symbols, we read symbols, okay? So we have to have a very, very deep knowledge of symbology. and what symbols mean. And symbols are not objective, okay? They have different meanings in different cultures, but we're always looking for clarification. When I see certain things in the field, okay, I can tune in, and you have to bring all your senses online. So not just your vision, but also your like somatic intelligence, to try and figure out what that symbol means if you haven't seen it before, or if you're not trained in exactly what that symbol means across cultures, okay? Because different symbols have different meanings across different cultures or in different contexts, okay? An owl can mean one thing to one culture or in one context, and a completely different thing in another context, okay? It can serve as a warning, or it can serve as a symbol of like prophetic vision, okay? Or being able to see things that others can't see. Or, you know, just like seeing scissors, a pair of scissors in the field could indicate like cutting cords, or severing something, or cutting a contract. The symbols have different meanings, okay? There are some symbols that have more universal meanings, okay? And having a very deep knowledge of symbology is required, okay? So if you're working with an oracle or a clairvoyant or a psychic, you have to make sure that that person is well researched and well studied. It's not enough just to have this spiritual gift of vision, okay? They also have to be well studied on what those different things mean, okay? And always expanding their study and always learning new things. So, you know, let me think of an example. So when I see in the field, sometimes I'll see, like, let's say for example, I see a client and I might see a man in that person's field, okay? And you know, that man keeps looking over his shoulder. I will have to tell my client this is exactly what I'm seeing, okay? I can guess at what it means, okay? I'm seeing that there's somebody who keeps on looking over his shoulder. Do you have a connection to like an ex-boyfriend, or like a previous partner? Or maybe this is even like, it could just be like her perception or her relationship to the masculine as a whole, okay? So I will always ask my client, okay? It's always, when we're working in the field, it's a two-way process, and you as a client have to always maintain your sovereignty, okay? You get to decide whether what a field worker or an oracle who's reading the field for you is projecting onto you, okay? They have to not project things onto you, so it always has to involve your consent and your participation. Nobody should be telling you this is your twin flame, okay? How do they know? And I mean, it was obvious from the documentary that they were wrong, because a lot of the people said, I didn't even like this person. And they would just gaslight their clients into saying, oh, well, you clearly have a block. You have a block around receiving that person, or you have a block around the masculine. And then it got to the point where they started teaching, again, faulty divine masculine, divine feminine codes. Okay, so they started teaching faulty divine masculine and divine feminine codes, polarity teachings, that they then used to groom people into transgenderism, so that they could try and keep all the twin flames within their course in order to maintain people, so that they kept on giving them money. Okay, now there are people who are naturally, I don't know if it's natural or whether it's what causes it, but there are people who, for their own reasons, have a fluid gender identity, or have gender dysphoria, or who are transgender, or who are two-spirit. And there was one person in the group who was, you know, naturally for her own reasons was trans. But they started teaching to groom somebody into gender dysphoria and convince them that they're not the gender that they originally believed themselves to be. Is severe psychological and spiritual abuse. Like, it makes me so angry that this is going on, and that they're doing this, okay? Because it obviously tarnishes our whole community. Not that most people in this space are anything like this, but they started teaching that everybody is either 100% divine masculine or 100% divine feminine, okay? And this is such bullshit, okay? Divine feminine is a frequency of the feminine current of creation, or the goddess, or the divine mother, or manifested reality, when she's in unification with the masculine principle, okay? And the masculine principle is logos, it's thought, it's consciousness, it's awareness, it's logic, it's left brain thinking, it's structure, it's systems, okay? That's what the masculine principle is. And the divine masculine is when he is in unification, when the divine masculine principle is in unification with that goddess energy and that frequency of vitality, of life force, of essence, of care, compassion, emotion, then you get right and moral action, okay? This is the process of divine unification. As human beings, we all have access to both feminine energy and masculine energy. And when we unite the two, then we come into unification, or hieros or divine union, okay? That is when our masculine marries our feminine, and they both become divine masculine and divine feminine, and then it produces a Kundalini awakening. And then there are 4 levels of Kundalini awakening, okay? So no, you can't be either 100% divine masculine or 100% divine feminine, because as I've just explained, that is a complete oxymoron, okay? If you're divine masculine, you also have married your own internal feminine. If you're divine feminine, then you've also embodied and integrated your own divine masculine, okay? So nobody's 100% one or 100% the other. And because they convinced people of this, and people actually believed it, they were able to convince these different women that they should be twin flames with each other, even though some of them were straight, but they were denying their own inner masculine, and they needed to connect with their masculine, and they're actually a man. And some people actually started going through a medical transition, okay? So hopefully, I mean, most of you will, I did tell you to go watch it. If you don't want to watch it, or you want to watch this video first, that's fine, but there will be spoilers, okay? So this was the ultimate culmination. Now, obviously, there was a lot of financial exploitation that was also going on within this cult, and they set themselves up they founded themselves as a religion so that they wouldn't have to pay tax. And y'all, expect this to be happening a lot right now, okay? And I'm sure it has been happening a lot in the last few years with a lot of these denominations. And, obviously we've been talking about the situation in Gaza a lot, and, what's happening with the Palestinians. A lot of these different sects that are leading this messianic cult are some of these spiritual predators who are teaching not just Luciferianism, but outright Satanism, and some of them are hiding behind certain religious identities, okay? We'll talk about this, I'll probably include this in the webinar, but I'll leave actually a link to a podcast where this one YouTube creator, he talked about the history of evangelical Christianity and how it was actually created to prop up the Zionist project by an actual Satanist, and how the Zionist project was actually created by Satanists in the first place, okay? It wasn't created by Jews, okay? It's not Jewish, it's not supported by Judaism, and that's why a lot of Hasidic Jews speak up against it. So yeah, check out that video, have a watch of that. I'll probably include some of that in the webinar that we do, talking about the different 12 tribes and the root races. But yeah, what was I saying? Where was I going with this? Yeah, so don't assume that just because somebody is religious or claims to be part of a religion or a church that they are necessarily serving God, even if they claim to be, because these people started talking about God a lot and Christ a lot, and that was the barometer that we used, to say, this is how you discern a true spiritual teacher. Are they talking about God? Are they truly serving Christ? But we know that there will be a lot of spiritual narcissists who will also abuse you know, and take the Lord's name in vain, take Christ's name in vain, and say that they're working for the Most High, but are not serving the Most High. Okay, so we have to get a lot more discerning. Another thing that really, really struck me about the cult, and I was shocked, okay, to observe this, was how little agency the people who signed up for the course actually had over their own discernment. And that was something that really, really surprised me. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I just call in a certain type of client that's a little bit more advanced, but I don't feel like my clients are like that. Like, I don't feel like they just give, you know, yeah, I have sometimes experienced with clients like a very, very high level of trust, but I will always let them know, okay, what I see in the fields is what I'm seeing, but you've got to also understand that the quantum field also has overlays and false timelines and things like that, okay? And don't give away your power to any like healer or clairvoyant or oracle for reading your future. Definitely not. Don't allow anybody to read you can ask them, look, if you're curious about what do you see for me, you can ask them, what do you see for my future? But you don't have to take that as gospel, because you get to decide. You get to decide what you want to manifest in your life. And I'm not saying that you can control every aspect of everything that happens to you, because that also gets into, you know, a lot of the law of attraction, law of assumption. People get into also some very Luciferian and also downright satanic ideologies where you think that you can control everything that's happening within your own personal reality. And they're basically teaching solipsism, which is a Luciferic ideology, and at the heart of a lot of like some of these like Freemasonry teachings. Yeah, like there's just so much to unpack here. If somebody's reading, I can open up timelines for clients and say what I see for them, but I will always let them know this is just a possible future timeline that's available to you if you want to manifest it, okay? Not everything is 100% within our control, okay? There is a blueprint. There is God's plan, okay, for what God wants to unfold. But at the same time, I don't want people to think that, like, for example, what's happening in Gaza right now is part of God's plan, okay? Like some of these messianic cults seem to. It's not just that they want people to believe that what's happening is God's plan, but they're actually engineering it and they're making it happen, okay? And the truth is somewhere in between, okay? We can fulfill God's destiny, but within the boundary conditions of natural law. Like, you cannot transgress natural law. Like, if you do, there will be consequences, okay? There are always consequences to transgressing natural law, okay? Which is if you cause harm to another, if you violate another's free will, you know? Stuff like that. Yeah, it's just, it's so problematic, okay? And another thing, let's talk about what I just talked about in... I just posted a reel where I'm talking about some of the people that are teaching some of these faulty codes around twin flames and divine union. Another thing that I know was very notable in the documentary, now obviously I wasn't part of Twin Flames universe, so maybe they just left this out, but anybody who's teaching divine union or Hieros Gamos or sexual alchemy or even twin flame, and this was one thing that the New Age twin flame teachings did get right, okay, because this was my first introduction to this idea, is the whole point of the twin flames or the divine unions is they are mission focused, okay, because that is the purpose of divine union or Hieros Gamos or balancing of your masculine and feminine energies, okay. It brings you into the frequency of care, which is the divine feminine principle, and the frequency of truth, okay, which is the divine masculine principle, okay. There are other, it's not the only masculine principle or the only feminine principle, okay. But what that does is it creates right and moral action in the world, okay. You become a change maker, which is why divine unions are the template for a divine mission on the planet and why they will be the architecture for the new earth, okay? That doesn't mean that you need to hold out for like some magical twin flame, okay? If somebody comes into your experience as you're out there, you know, in the dating world, that seems to be a good match, and you know, we will do more videos talking about how to vet people for this, then to explore that, okay? And don't allow yourself to be misled by a lot of these false teachings where, you know, like one of the things that I heard when I went through this was like one of the twin flames will have a birthday that is the same as the other one's, like maybe like a previous partner that the other person had, or a parent that the other person had. And I remember I said something to him, like he said something to me and I just went, oh, you remind me of my dad. And he was just like, or just then, that's when my dad would always say that. And he was just like, what's your date of birth? And I was like, I said my date of birth, I'm not going to say it right now. He goes, that's the same date of birth as my ex. And I was just like, how did you know to ask me that? And he goes, I don't know, I just thought to ask you that at that moment because she always used to say that as well, and it just reminded me. And so afterwards, when I was researching, what the hell is this? And I don't know how he was able to know to ask me that question. My guess is it was not so much divine inspiration, but it was kind of channeled or implanted into his head to ask me that through whatever interfacing system was feeding on us at that time, to ask me that. And I do believe it was some kind of astral tagging, that they tagged me and they tagged him, you know, to otherwise, like it's somewhat similar in certain ways, but ultimately incompatible. To cause this kind of relational misery of, you know, being in separation. Now, I think what hurt the most about this was because I felt like I needed to be with somebody who was similar to me, okay, and who saw things in the same way and who wanted to see this divine mission play out in the same way that I wanted it to be, and to be like a carbon copy of me, like a masculine mirror. Okay, your masculine mirror will embody, okay, look, you can believe this or not believe this, okay? I want you to be sovereign as you're going out into the world and question everything that you're taught, okay? But I will share with you my experience, okay, on this path. I thought that my masculine had to mirror me perfectly, or had to mirror my own masculine energy. What I have discovered has been more harmonious for me and my path is that my masculine partner embodies all the masculine frequencies and also the feminine frequencies, because he has a strong feminine energy as well, that I am missing. Okay, so he's different to me. He's opposite to me, and that triggers me a lot sometimes, okay? Sometimes it will shatter a lot of your beliefs that you have about union, okay? I'm just sharing my experience. Every union's different, okay? So you don't have to take what I'm saying as book gospel. You need to figure it out for yourself, okay? Because this is what the divine union path is. It's you healing all those distortions that you were taught about what a relationship is, okay? And bringing new codes to help other people that may have similar templating, okay? So if what I'm saying resonates with you, it might be because you have to shatter some of these illusions on your own process of divine unification, okay? So for me, I thought that my masculine needs to be a spiritual warrior just like me, and he needs to speak the truth fearlessly just like me, and he needs to be feminine in the same way that I am, where he has like this deep emotional body where he really, really gets hurt and triggered by everything that he sees, and it makes him angry, because that's how I am. But he's different. He's all the things that I'm not, okay? And he's balanced me out and made me more whole and complete in so many ways, and triggered me a lot and made me question whether he's my person a lot, and shattered a lot of my beliefs about what I thought a union should be, okay? And helped me grow. So see if that resonates with you, okay? Because I know a lot of people are delaying their union timeline because of things that they were taught but don't question for themselves. And I would say that you should probably listen to multiple different people that resonate with you, that talk about their experiences of union, so that you can build up a more complete picture of what it should be for you, okay? Because I listen to multiple people. I listen to people that believe in twin flames, and I listen to people that don't believe in them at all, okay? And that's what's helped me, okay? Because otherwise you can end up in like an echo chamber where you start just getting into like some very cultic beliefs that don't stand up to questioning, okay? So challenge your beliefs at every opportunity. Now, another thing that I want to talk about is some of the people that are teaching divine feminine and divine masculine and are only teaching it as a path of getting into a relationship, okay, and a way to have like more passionate sex and stuff like that, and who are completely silent on the issue of genocide and the Antichrist agenda that's currently unfolding in the Middle East, okay? These people are teaching incomplete codes, and I'm not saying that things that they're teaching cannot help you at a certain point in your journey. Just that some of these people that are claiming to be spiritual leaders with these big followings and having like these successful businesses and stuff like that, they haven't truly embodied the work yet, okay? They might have embodied how to create a financially successful business by constantly producing content talking about the divine masculine and the divine feminine, but they haven't truly embodied the work in their own light bodies and in their lives, and they won't be able to take you all the way, okay? And that's why they're not truly speaking up, because they're not truly embodying divine masculine and divine feminine, okay? That's why a lot of them are still single, okay? I spoke about this in my reel that I just posted today, and I want to, and again I said this in the reel as well, okay? I want to make a distinction between people that are consciously single because they're going through the process of inner alchemy and balancing their energies and creating that inner marriage with the immortal masculine or the immortal feminine, depending on where they're sitting on the polarity scale at that time, and getting really clear on their divine mission and going through that process of sexual purification that's very necessary on a Heros Gamos path, okay, as you clear your distortions and heal your sexual trauma and your relational trauma and get really clear on what your mission is and what the kind of person that you want to call in to support you in that mission is. Many people have gone through a period of sometimes years of conscious abstinence or celibacy even. And then there's other people who teach about divine masculine and divine feminine who are perpetually single because they're not truly embodying the work. They're more about selling you the work and making money off these sacred teachings, and not truly aligning with God's blueprint for them, okay? This work is no joke, okay? This is not just about like having a spiritual business that will bring you like loads of abundance, okay? This is about building God's kingdom, okay? This is about building new systems on the earth. This is about aligning with the truth, okay? And yes, you will be provided for if you align yourself to this work, but the provision comes in. The way that the provision comes won't necessarily be so direct, okay? For me, you'll know, okay? I'm not, and look, I'm all about charging appropriately for your work, okay? If you've committed yourself to the path, to your training, to initiating into various mystical wisdom traditions like yoga or tantra or whatever modalities you're trained in, you should absolutely charge appropriately for your work and for your time so that you can be supported in that work, okay? But sometimes God calls you to do certain things that might actually harm your bottom line, okay? Like for me, speaking up about genocide right now, okay, I'm posting several times a day because God is calling me to join the movement in not just calling for a ceasefire, but exposing what's been happening in that part of the world for at least the last 75 years, if not longer, and speaking the truth, so that because we're part of a bigger mission, okay, that's not just about building a spiritual business and making loads of money, okay? So my provision comes in various other ways, okay? I've particularly incarnated into this body as Sundal, this avatar, in which I've received provision from various other sources that don't include this work, and those sources support this work, okay? So reflect on whether that might be the case for you, okay? Because everybody's different with that, and for each person your provision might not come in the way that you expect, okay? Because with, you know, creating these new earth systems, it might not look exactly like how you thought it would look, okay? Where it would be like a direct exchange, and you'll receive direct, you know, exchange for your work. Like sometimes I'm called to, you know, offer free healings because I feel like that's what people need at this time. And Emily does the same, like with her grid work. There's always a slightly different price that she gives with her grid work. Sometimes it's just voluntary donation. She'll give a suggested price for the donation, but sometimes she doesn't check. And sometimes she even specifically says, you know, guys, even if your donation for this is only $1, we want as many people as possible for this, because this is an important planetary grid work that we're doing, and we need as many of you to energetically support this work. So, you know, truly listening to the voice of God when you're doing whatever it is your sacred mission work on your divine union journey is paramount, okay? So yeah, I think that's probably all I want to say on that. Is there anything else I want to cover? Yeah, just guys, keep speaking up for Palestine. Like, it doesn't seem like it's gonna stop anytime soon. That doesn't mean that we should stop speaking about it, okay? I know this is a marathon, not a race. Obviously, don't burn yourself out. But I do really feel like we need to keep the conversation going, okay? Don't leave it just up to other people to sort out, okay? Because there's so many lies and so much false propaganda that they're spreading now, because they have been losing the information war, okay? People are waking up en masse, which has been very encouraging to see. But at the same time, you know, I really thought, like, my greatest wish when I started going through this awakening process was I just wanted everybody to wake up so that we could fucking overthrow all these evil satanic people that are like have enslaved humanity since the dawn of time, and get to, like, you know, building more sustainable systems that work for everyone. And I just thought that I would just be so elated when that finally happened, and now it does seem to be happening, but I'm just devastated and I'm just heartbroken just seeing what it's taken, like the amount of children. Like, I cannot tell you how many videos I'm seeing every day that literally are like, they're like snuff movies, okay? And it's disgusting, and I hate having to bear witness to this, okay? But Palestinians are asking us to bear witness to it. They're asking us to be their voice, to raise their voice, to share their content, to show the world what's happening to them, and to cut through the lies of the enemy, okay? There's so many lies that they're spreading right now. Like, oh, look, we found this book, Mein Kampf, with one of the Hamas soldiers, or one of the Hamas operatives, and it was like completely clean, like there was no dust on it. Like, if they had pulled that out of the rubble in Gaza, there's no way it would have been that clean. It would have had blood on it, it would have had dust on it, like, just ridiculous, okay? Like, as if Hamas operatives have time to, like, make notes in a copy of Mein Kampf. Just bullshit. Like, I don't believe it. Maybe some stupid people do, but they're really scrambling right now. Another thing that they published on CNN was they went into the hospital and they were like, look, this is a timetable, a rota showing all the different terrorists that have to work shifts. And look, you can see their names you can see this is, and he goes from left to right, even though Arabic actually reads from right to left. And then he goes, you can see all the terrorist names. And Sabi broke this down, where, let's actually just react to it.
This genocide of Gaza has proven, one, how idiotic unintelligent and desperate the Israeli occupation forces are, and two, how racist Western media outlets are, proving that we genuinely cannot trust anything that they say. This is the spokesperson for the Israeli occupation forces, taking the press on a tour through the Children's Adventisi Hospital in Gaza, trying so hard to prove to the world that Hamas uses hospitals as bases. And the most damning evidence he's able to come up with is a supposed terrorist guardian calendar.
In Arabic, this list says we are in an operation. The operation against Israel started in the 7th of October. This is a guardian list where every terrorist writes his name and every terrorist has his own shift guarding the people that were here.
Dumb enough to think that actual Arabic speakers won't see this. It's a calendar, y'all. It's literally the days of the week. First terrorist name on the list, As-Sabt, Saturday, followed by Al-Ahad, Sunday. While we're here, we might as well just learn the days of the week in Arabic. Sunday, Al-Ahad. Monday, Al-Ithnain. Tuesday, Al-Thulatha. Wednesday, Al-Arbi'a. Thursday, Al-Khamis. Friday, Al-Jum'ah. Or Jum'ah, depending on your accent. And finally, back to As-Sabt, Saturday. He says that the title reads The Operation Against Israel, when it literally just says the name of the operation on October 7th, Tufan al-Aqsa, and then the date. And he's such an imbecile. When he was pointing, making it seem like he was reading it left to right. Arabic is right to left. Ya hamar. People talk about how advanced and smart the Israeli military system is, but every single day, in the past 30 plus days, they've proven just how dumb they are. And the only reason why they continue to display such unreal levels of stupidity is because they know they can get away with it. They know that even if it's fake and 100% fabricated, Western media outlets will eat it up. They've never had to work hard to fabricate good fake evidence because they know that Israeli citizens, alongside the certain individuals in the West, will believe them. And that is one of the many problems with trusting everything that your government tells you, whether it's Israel or the US. Let's remember that just because their military is well funded, that does not mean that they're smart. You can't buy intelligence. Money can't buy intelligence. All it can buy is AI-generated footage trying to prove that Palestinians are the bad people. And this takes us to the carelessness of Western media. This is CNN blasting this footage, these lies, for millions of viewers to see. And if they had a track record of sharing baseless information, okay, that would make sense. The reality is, they don't fact check anything when it comes to pro-Israeli narrative like this. If an Israeli says something, if a white person says something, it's fact. There's no doubting it. There's no questioning it. But when it comes to Palestinian narrative, we have to question the number of actual casualties. We have to question whether or not Israel actually bombed the hospitals or actually bombed the refugee camps. It is a glaring racist double standard. Despite all the footage and proof that we have from people in Gaza, that's still not enough. It will still cast doubt because it's coming from an Arab, a Muslim, a brown person. But Israelis can say that Palestinians are chopping off baby heads, setting bodies on fire, doing the most disgusting things with zero proof, y'all. Zero. Western media will run with it. They'll take that information and blast it to the world. The white supremacy, y'all. It's loud. They're just working overtime to manufacture consent and justify killing, massacring Palestinians. So the lesson learned, especially for those of y'all who are still on the fence, Israeli government is not to be trusted, and US Western media outlets are not to be trusted.
Okay, so let's react to another one.
The reason that the spiritual community is so quiet about what's happening to Palestinians is because they didn't think that the Great Awakening was going to center around Palestinians. They thought that the spiritual awakening was going to center around them, that they were going to be the ones that led the conversation, that they were going to be the leaders, that they were the special ones, that they were going to help people into love and light and unity. And now they're realizing that it's actually a genocide that has awakened the world. God works like that, right? Like the universe works in ways that surprises us. And for people that are in that spiritual community, they're privileged. They dominate these areas. And you guys know what I'm talking about. The yoga studios, the healing centers, the ayahuasca centers that are now super popular. You know what I'm talking about. The YouTube gurus in the West. The people who dominate these conversations steal teachings from people of color all around the world. And then they regurgitate it, and then they repackage it to you at a markup price that's 15 times higher. And then at the juncture of a genocide of people of color, they feel like it's too political to speak up for us. They didn't expect this. Another reason why people in the spiritual community won't speak up about this genocide is because their clients and customers are Zionist, and they feel uncomfortable by all of this. They feel so triggered and uncomfortable. So instead of speaking up or educating themselves What they're choosing to do is completely ignore it and hope that it goes away. They're hoping that this goes away, but it's an awakening. People have awakened, and now we see you. We see you. We see who you really are. And at the end of the day, it comes down to, are you going to speak up for me? Are you going to watch me die? You know, at the end of the day, Palestinians are only asking for us to post about them, to post about their plight, to show their solidarity, because they understand the importance of information right now about awakening people to the truth. And you can't even do that for them. This completely changes how we as people move forward in our relationships. Like, this has become the moral standard. You know, I never thought that that would even be a question where it's like, you know, at a genocide, I thought that we would all come together and be like, hell no. But it's not. And that has been the biggest betrayal of it all. And just realizing that so much of spirituality that has been taught in the West is about oneself instead of the actual collective, instead of actually showing up for each other. It's been such a disappointment. The reason that
Yeah, so I mean, she just nailed it. Like, I don't really have much more to say, much more to add to that, because she just said it so well. But what I was saying before about, like, sometimes God will call you to do certain things that will affect your bottom line, like losing certain clients, you know. And if you're not calling, and that was what I wrote in the caption here, if you're not calling your clients into their highest alignment, you're not doing your fucking job as a spiritual teacher, okay? And that does involve speaking the truth and calling shit out, and sometimes pissing people off, okay? And yeah, I had a couple of people message me about the person who I mentioned in the last video who was like, you know, telling me that I was making assumptions about, you know, why people aren't speaking up. And they were just like, she's clearly like showing how bothered she is about, you know, the fact that she's probably not done enough, and she's one of those people. Because the awakening is going to, especially with what's happening right now, it is going to require people decolonizing their perspective. And this particular person was extremely critical of the woke left. But things are turning that way now. It is the left that are leading this conversation, and a lot of people in the spiritual community don't like that, because they lent so right during the pandemic. Because obviously I understand a lot of people on the left were really, really pushing for everyone to get the jabs, which is satanic and it's inverted. And there's a lot of issues on the left, and there's still a lot of cleanup that they need to do, because the establishment hijacked the left. Okay, so that happened. We need to know that happened. We need to call out the bullshit within the leftist communities. I got very sick of the left, okay? I got really, really... I was very upset by what I saw in some of these intersectional spaces about the bullying and the doxing, and just really like mean girl behavior that I don't think helps anyone. But, you know, people have been doing their work, and they have been healing on, you know, all sides of the political spectrum and all sides of the awakening movement, and people come from different perspectives, and this is part of the polarity integration that needs to happen, okay? A lot of people need to decolonize their perspectives, and I do think that it is going to be Indigenous people that lead this conversation, especially in the immediate future. Okay, so let's respond to another one. I love this, okay? I connected with I Believe in Me network, and he's been posting some amazing content. So he's Mexican-American, based in Phoenix, Arizona. And him and his mom do like a beautiful project that they do like twice a year. We were talking about it, where they come to Mexico, and then they go to one of the border towns, like find a very small town where there's a lot of people that are, you know, just like underprivileged communities, underserved communities, and they take a lot of like, you know, things to donate, and, you know, they'll have like a party with a piñata, and so he's doing a crowdfunder if anybody wants to go support that. You know, obviously everybody who got involved in the whole QAnon narrative will know, and generally these people do lean more center right, some hard right. You'll know that a lot of the children that are abused by these Satanists are Indigenous children who come from a lot of very vulnerable communities, specifically in Mexico. So if we want to truly be like a voice for change and for awakening, we need to start looking at what those communities actually need, so that we can solve the issue. Obviously taking down the power structures from, you know, like a top-down perspective obviously needs to happen as well, but there also needs to be a grassroots movement as well that really kind of amplifies Indigenous voices. Let's see what Gnostic Alchemy has to say. Okay, so I posted this on my Instagram. I'm gonna post it here again because I love it, and it did get a lot of response. I love Genevieve from Gnostic Alchemy.
I am going to try and word this again. I don't know why, well, I do know why American people aren't understanding this. There is a side to pick. And in picking that side, you pick unity consciousness. It is not in the act of not picking sides that you are now in unity consciousness. That means you are complicit in genocidal abuse. Not picking sides means you are complicit with the abuser. You are not in unity consciousness, you are in dissociation. Do you understand? You might not get it because you're America, so that means you're Rome. You're the empire. And the UK, US, Zionist Israeli regime is the cabal. You know the cabal all you spiritual people talk about, and the child sacrifices and all the things they do? That's them. The Israeli regime, the Zionist regime, is the fucking cabal. So all these spiritual people in the States saying, I'm not picking sides, you are siding with the cabal. That is the fucking cabal. Don't you get it? How do you not see this? It's because you've grown up with the privilege of Rome. You're out there sipping on your freaking Zionist-owned Starbucks frappe, wearing Kim Kardashian Zionist-owned Skims, telling us all not to pick sides. Because you're in unity consciousness. No, motherfucker. No. Unity consciousness is picking sides with the indigenous people of the earth. Do you know that when the state of Israel arrived in Palestine in 1948, it began with something called the Nakba, a motherfucking genocide. 1948, they started the apartheid state of Israel. Same year, they founded the apartheid state in South Africa.
Okay, so you can go watch that on my feed. I don't want to talk for too long, but yeah, I started talking about I Believe in Me, and then I didn't actually post his reel, but he had a message for hope, which I thought was very uplifting. So I believe he's Gen Z, you know, he seems to be young.
They really think young people are dumb. They left this tweet right here on the Israel main propaganda page on Twitter. It says, repeat after us, Hamas is a terrorist organization. See, that was easy. And it's funny because this thing got 8 million views and 30,000 likes, but look what somebody tweeted under it. Put, repeat after me, Israel is a terrorist organization. See, that wasn't easy. And look at how many views it got. 1.4 million views compared to the likes. It got a ridiculous amount of likes, 150,000. That's crazy. People aren't as dumb as you think. These young generation of Americans are smart. They're really smart. They know what's going on. They see and they appreciate truth. And they're not falling for that propaganda that's coming out on mainstream media. Let me tell you, these young people are very intelligent, information-driven youth. And if people don't think this generation is going to produce some of the smartest thinkers to ever walk this planet, you're sorely mistaken. This generation, I believe, is going to make some huge changes in the next coming years. This new generation of information-driven American, it's going to bring huge changes in the next coming 20, 30 years. People really think this next generation is going to be the dumbest, but I guarantee you it's going to be the smartest one.
And I will concur, because a lot of the younger people that I've been speaking to in the DMs who follow my work can really fucking see through the bullshit, okay? They can also see through the left-right. You know, a lot of them do lean quite left. That's normal for young people. We all leaned left when we were younger, right? We all wanted to change the world. We were all idealistic. That's the point of young people, okay? Now, will they, you know, slowly change and become more conservative as they already are in some way starting to become conservative on some things. I think a lot, like there's, you know, a lot of, they polled a lot of college girls, and not just college girls, but college students, and they're definitely not buying into like all the hookup culture and all the fucking crazy sexual hedonism that our generation bought into, that we thought was like liberation, but actually caused a lot of damage to, you know, ourselves, our self-esteem, our psyches, our relationships, and our light bodies. A lot of the young girls in particular are actually like closing up shop, so to speak. I'm sorry to be crude, but like, you know, they're not buying the bullshit anymore. You know, they're not just sharing their bodies willy-nilly just like that with just anybody who wants to have a go. So just on that level, I do think that a lot of the next generation are waking up. Yes, they are being manipulated on a certain level and going through some, unresolved trauma. But that's where those of us that have, healed some of these distortions and are initiated and have the resources, and we have like businesses, can help some of the younger people kind of move through those things a lot faster than we were able to when we were their age. What else did I want to share? Another one from Gnostic Alchemy. Yeah, I thought this one was really funny.
Something that I'm noticing is that the so-called kind of goddess, mother-loving, spiritual influencer people that aren't speaking about the genocide in Palestine, they tend to have a very polarized identity in terms of how they present themselves. So they'll either be very light and love, like, I'm just the cutesy, gooey sweetheart of a spiritual person that is always this cutesiness. Or they'll be like that raunchy kind of, I'm a dark goddess. I'm so dark and sexy. I'm all about the sex. I'm all about my sensuality. Every single picture. So both scenarios are a actual massacre of the feminine. Or it's a massacre of the true nature of the mother. She is diversity, right? And the patriarchal colonizing problem is the single story. It's the monotheism, the mono story, right? So it's the branding of self, the packaging of self, the presentation of self, the boxing of self, the graying out of the self into one single story. The single story or the single identity or the single personification of self is colonialism. The mother is diversity. So I love and trust women who say they're spiritual leaders and mother carriers that are real in their expression. They are authentically alive in the moment, and that might shift and change because the mother has 9 archetypes, right? So if I see a single archetype emanating out of a person because they're trying to brand themselves or they're trying to be like, constantly present in a certain way, then I understand that they're actually in polarization. They're actually in a polarized false identity. They don't actually know integration. They can't know because of the way they're presenting themselves. It's just obvious in the presentation. So it's very interesting to note that the people with this kind of boxed, branded identity, the single representation of self, I always show up in this way, they're not really vocal for real indigenous causes. They're not really brave. Why would they be? Because they're so afraid to even be themselves. That's why they've boxed themselves into a single narrative. And the Eve, good girl, light and love girls have a rejected dark goddess, and the dark goddess, totally all the time girls, have a rejected light goddess. Yeah, so just break out of, smash the construct, be the diversity of the mother.
Not just the diversity of the mother, but also integrating your own inner masculine, which is the frequency of truth. I mean, I think, and I've spoken about this before, I spoke about this in my live that I did in my women's Facebook group, and that was a really extensive, long video where we talked about the dark feminine and cut through some of the distortions that are being taught in this space. So if you want access to the replay, drop me a comment saying Facebook group, or you can also write dark feminine and I'll send you a link to the Facebook group where you can watch the replay, because we did an activation as well. But a lot of what is being taught as dark feminine energy is actually integration of the masculine, okay? Like people saying, it's your dark goddess that protects you from lower masculine. It's like, no, it's your own internal Christ masculine that comes in to protect you, okay? Yes, there is a deep primordial feminine, but that's different, okay? And that you only want to get into the deepest levels of surrender when you're in the presence of a man that's, he doesn't have to necessarily be fully Christed, but he has to be on the divine unification path, and you should not be allowing anyone to enter your sacred temple unless he is. So yeah, I love her post at the moment. You should go follow her. It's Gnostic_alchemy, and her name is Genevieve, however she pronounces that, I'm not sure. But yeah, I've been following her for many years, but only recently started engaging actively in her content since all of this broke up, because she's obviously been posting very, very consistently, and I'm all about that right now. And then there's just one more that I want to share, which was on TikTok.
The most useless people during times of great moral crises are the spiritual girlies. The ones who cut out all the bad vibes and want to maintain a positive energy. Yeah, fuck you. Israel's committing a genocide. Israel's killed more babies in the last 30 days than any country has killed in this century. And you want to what? Self-actualize still? Are you going to self-actualize and then you're going to help out? Or is not helping out part of your self-actualization process? I'm just curious. Oh, the conflict's so complicated, and I don't want to take a side because I'm not fully educated. Israel's killed more babies in the last 30 days than any country has killed in the last 50 years. Oh, it's so complicated. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. And because it's so not complicated, the solution's also not complicated. I need you shitposting. I need everyone shitposting. Because this is an information war, and the way you win an information war is by shitposting. And it's super easy to out-shitpost Israel because all you have to do is keep pointing out that they're an ethno-state that doesn't represent the Jewish people and they are dedicated to the genocide of the Palestinian people. And you just got to point that out over and 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 over again. And then they'll get defunded. And that's the war. That's the game. In the United States, remember the phrase defund the police? Well, hey guys, we send our police to Israel to get trained by their military. All right? So in the vein of defund the police, defund Israel, the police state. And the thing is, you should want to defund Israel. They have free healthcare and we send them our money. Fuck that. Just fuck that. Americans are dying from inflation and we send Israel our money. This is the easiest conflict to resolve in the history of mankind. Shitpost.
So that's a guy called Hermes the Cynic, Hermes the Cynic, who you can follow on. He seems to be more active on TikTok than Instagram. You can also follow him on Instagram. He is an anti-Zionist Jew. I'm really appreciating the anti-Zionist Jews' voices at the moment. K.W. Bogan is another that you should follow on Instagram. I think she was sexuality scholar on TikTok, but her account got deleted. But yeah, like, I can hear people in the background going, how dare you force people or like try and domineer over people what they should be posting about. I'm not. Like, post about whatever you want. Like, honestly, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying anybody has to be posting about Gaza. I've already said this. You can post about whatever you want, but don't try and pretend that you're a spiritual leader. Okay? If you're not posting about it, don't try and pretend that you're a spiritual leader. Okay? Because you're full of shit, frankly. Like, just like how during the pandemic there were spiritual leaders that were not talking about the depopulation agenda and the forced vaccinations and things like that and the satanic agenda, and they were exposed for being false light. You're false light, okay? That's what it is. You're not talking about the biggest genocide that we've seen in our, in my adult life, okay? I can't speak for everybody. Everybody's a different age, right? But if you look at the stats of how many people Israel has killed in the last month, it eclipses all the other wars that have been fought since I was a kid. It's just the numbers are just not, if you're not speaking up about it, you're not a spiritual leader. I'm sorry, I'm going to be very unapologetic about this and just call it what it is, okay? Like, you don't have to like that. You don't have to continue to follow me if you want to go your separate ways because I've taken that position. I'm just going to take that position now, okay? Because every day, every minute, every hour, there are more children being killed, and this could end tomorrow if we had more people on board and more people mobilizing to stop it. Okay, so, and again, like I said, the lies that are coming out and the inversions to support it, we need a lot of people speaking up right now and to change the conversation. Right now we are winning the information war, which is great because there are so many people who are speaking up, and those people are fucking heroes in my opinion, okay? Obviously they're not like, heroes literally going physically, giving their lives to battle, but I know a lot of people have, lost jobs, lost contracts, lost followers, lost money. So I do think that's what God is definitely calling me to do. Like, if your God is not calling you to do that, then I don't know how you can say that you're a spiritual leader. If you're a person that's like actively on social media, like if you're doing something else behind the scenes or building something that's going to support, New Earth Kingdom, I've already spoken about that. That's a different thing, and that's obviously, I spoke about Mark Passio with his Natural Law film. I don't expect him to just suddenly, jump on a podcast when he said that he's going to take time away. So, making that distinction there. But yes, okay, thanks for watching, guys. I'll love you and leave you. See you in the next video. Bye.